questions? Yes?
Good examples of vitamin D.
Good example, very good question. Sunshine is the only good example of source. Basically, vitamin D comes from the sun. It shines on your skin, and the cholesterol under your skin makes vitamin D. It's actually a hormone in the body, and it's involved in about 2,000 genetic expressions. The only diet, I beg your pardon?
Supplements.
Yeah, the only dietary sources, the good dietary sources, are oily fish and lamb's liver. Now you get some in milk and you get some in eggs, but just be careful of buying the functional foods with the added vitamin D. That's in the D2 format, and you actually need it in a D3 format. So you're right, we all need to take a supplement. We do, yeah, daily. This is something that the European Food Safety Authority have come out and said, they've issued a scientific opinion that every man and woman over the age of 60, to prevent falls and fractures, needs to take a minimum of 1,000 international units per day. It's not expensive. There's a product called ADO-D, and you can get 3 months supply for about €11 or something like that.
Is it true that it helps in the absorption of calcium as well?
It's imperative in the absorption. 1 in 2 Irish women over the age of 55 go on to develop osteoporosis. And if you think about our high dairy diet, it's very little to do with that. The calcium forms the mineralization of the bones. There's also a huge inflammatory process going on with osteoporosis. But if you don't have vitamin D, it's not going to transport. You get what we call calcification of the arteries. And there was a recent study done showing, actually it was in January, you double your chances of calcification and heart disease in women if you take calcium without vitamin D. So vitamin D is very important for the transportation of calcium. Yeah.
In terms of sunshine, we hear so much about the Celtic skin and protecting ourselves with 50. That's what we should be wearing, I believe, all year round now. What would you recommend in terms of sunshine? Is it half an hour a day?
That's quite controversial, and I can tell you why. Where all the body of research came regarding vitamin D from Australia, 70% of the Aussies became vitamin D deficient. They had this campaign, slip, slap, slap, put on your tan, put on your hat. I don't know the other thing going on, but anyway. So the current thinking is 20 minutes exposure. Unfortunately, our northerly latitude in Ireland, we are placed about 51 to 53 degrees away from the equator, so the sun is shining at a slant. We're never getting the direct sunshine, so about 20 minutes. They say full body exposure, 20 minutes. If you don't want to do it, take vitamin D. Personally, I love the sun, and I'm not convinced that we've got to the bottom of the benefits of sunshine. While we can isolate vitamin D, I do feel there's some other phytonutrients in there that we haven't as yet discovered.
Thank you.
Yes, John?
For people that are training or exercising or things like that, constant emphasis now on protein intake and stuff like that, is that overstated or?
Well, again, where you get, I'm not going to say that, but where are you getting that information from?
Well, you read it a lot.
Yeah.
Not necessarily, read it.
You have to be careful that it's evidence-based and scientific, you know. There are lots of companies out there who are giving information, incorrect information around
selling stuff,
yeah, precisely, around protein and things like that. Inflammation is your biggest worry there with sports and things. It depends on the type of protein you're eating. That's what I would say to you. And be very careful what's in those protein supplements. Whey is good. It has to be Irish whey. That's the only problem. Yeah.
You mentioned the Irish situation, and there is seems a prevalence now of hemochromatosis, which is too much iron in the blood, and I'm one who found all my sisters, I was saying.
Yeah.
So for years I was recommending supplements with iron in them, so all I was doing is exacerbating the problem. So now, how does, people should test for this at a certain stage of their lives to make themselves aware of it, because I found out by accident. My sister had me diagnosed, I would have no idea. So, but in terms of supplements, what can one take, or what foods should we avoid taking? Because there's not a great amount of specific to that sector.
Yeah. Okay. And family members of mine have hemochromatosis as well. There won't be a broad screening out. Hemochromatosis was only discovered in the 80s, believe it or not. For people who don't know what hemochromatosis is, it is a genetic problem where the body is absorbing too much iron from the food that we are taking in. And as you say, I'm not a fan of multivitamins and multiminerals. Now, in practice, I would use specific supplements for people who are sitting in front of me like blood work, you know, and I would use specific supplements. But what I'd say to you is definitely stay away from vitamin C, because vitamin C enhances the absorption of iron. And red meat is another one that I would say. And you're absolutely right. The genetic component, again, the Celtic race, we have a lot of faulty genes on top of faulty everything else, but that's just, you know. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. I'm aware of the vitamin C issue and red meat, etc. But
tea, drink loads of tea. The tannins in tea prevent the absorption of iron in the gut as well. So if you're a tea,
Thank you very much.
you're welcome, John. If you're a tea drinker, that will also help you. Yes.
You mentioned vitamin C and dairy a couple of times there.
Right.
Is our dairy intake, and I know this is a broad brush kind of question, but is our dairy intake too high generally?
Do you know, I'm dairy-free 28 years, and that was one of my problems with my asthma. Having said that, not everybody is dairy-free, and not everybody has a problem. There are, I would say, wheat is a big issue in Ireland, absolutely. Are we eating too much dairy? It's associated, dairy is a good food, without a doubt dairy is a good food. Its association with osteoporosis is overstated. And it is very difficult to generalise because I don't know what your diet is, and the person sitting beside you there mightn't eat too much dairy. I'm not anti-dairy, to be honest with you. It's very much an individual thing. It depends again on how much you're eating it.
The food pyramid is, that we all see, is produced by the Dairy Council.
Yes, well that's again, it's all political. And the food pyramid is rubbish, out of date, historic nonsense. There's no way you need to eat 5 to 7 portions of carbohydrates. We're drowning in a sea of glucose in this country due to our high carbohydrate intake. You know, but again, I fully agree with you, it's all political. Or not say too much more out of it. Yes?
The relationship between alcohol and stress.
I might have a glass of wine after this. It's twofold, isn't it? If you're, you know, you're kind of going home, and again, the biggest problem in Ireland, and you hear all this from the Rutland, not picking on all the ladies in the room, but the ladies are going home with a glass of wine. That's the biggest problem now, because we have all the stress. We carry it all. But, you know, there is a tendency to go home and you're wound up and you're, you know, reach for that glass of wine. Alcohol is a depressant. It depresses you. It works on the brain chemistry. Dopamine is the neurotransmitter that gives us excitement, and that's based around fats and sugars and things like that. Alcohol depresses that, and you'll see most suicides occur in young men after drinking alcohol. So, you know, there is a place for alcohol in, I'm not anti-alcohol, I like a glass of wine myself, and it's all about finding your own relationship with it. I would say avoid using it as a de-stressor, as a crutch, get out for a run or a jog or a phone a friend. The whole area of stress is about support. Okay? It's about being able to pick up the phone. We all have stress. It's about being able to pick up the phone to your mother, your sister, your lover, your, I don't know, whoever, your auntie, and say, look, I had a really bad day and I'm going to take the head off in the middle of the night, bloody hell, get it out. That's the whole thing about stress. It's the internalization that is causing the damage. And it is the going on all day long. Your hormones are raised when you're at that.
Thank you.
Yeah, this lady who wanted to ask me
Just in terms of the workplace, if you look around, we see a lot of unhappy people, and I suppose in terms of how you would promote it in a workplace or in an office, have you any ideas how to get start and kick?
Read my program. I'll do it for you. Yeah, I mean, I work with companies, as you're aware, but I will be looking at the demography of the company, looking at the needs of the company. You know, in the Googles of life, most of the staff are under 30. Right, so that's a different thing. You might go into a company, I'd say, I think I read somewhere telecom, where they're kind of they're an older demography. You're looking at a healthy eating policy in relation to aging there. You know, you're looking at various different life stages for people, where they are. You know, are you dealing with busy mothers who have to leave Mullingar at 6 o'clock in the morning, drop kids at Precious, get home at night, and you're saying, no, you have to go in and have your meat and your veg and whatever, you know, at 8 o'clock at night. So you're working with it's all about our relationship with food. I never give people a diet sheet. I examine the relationship with food and their environment. Does that make sense? Yes. Sorry, yeah.
With regard to fats, you mentioned fats there. Is there a benefit from taking low fat milk and low fat butter and low fat cheese?
I'm not a low fat chick. Being honest. I'll tell you why. I don't like the adulteration of food. I really don't. I can't see the benefit. The other thing is that the fat-soluble vitamins are in the fats in these. So your vitamin A and your vitamin D, you know, is in the fat component of those products. I'd say sugar is the big problem in the Irish diet. Yes, and I would say in terms of the plastic butters and the plastic margarines, bin them. Eat your good Irish butter. Bin them. I haven't got it on. I could fats I have fat on the brain. Go on.
I was wondering about cholesterol, the whole area of cholesterol. I've been diagnosed some years ago with high cholesterol, and I've avoided taking all the statins and all that kind of thing.
Excellent.
And I've been told it's genetic, you see. But I'm very interested in the relationship between the good and the bad cholesterol, and the difference between the UK and Ireland. When I was living in the UK, they look at the two individually,
Yes.
and they're added together. But the good one is good, and so it's better than the bad. But here they don't see that, they add them together.
No, because you see, you must remember again, cholesterol, like the 5-day, I'm not sure if Pfizer came up with the number 5, not 5.2, got to get my cholesterol down. The number 5 means nothing. There are 3 components in cholesterol. There's LDL, HDL and triglycerides. It's your ratio of HDL to LDL is your real, what you need to be looking at there. Yeah, right. And we know that the dietary absorption of dietary fats is not stress. Cholesterol is made in the liver. Stress is a huge component of sugar. I'd have to talk to you. Yeah.
So I eat my egg again.
You can eat as many cookies as you want. Never take out the yolk.
But if you're eating a lot of eggs,
No, it's not. There is cholesterol in there, okay, but
you're eating 3 or 4 eggs a day.
it's the conversion. But people are not eating 3 or 4 eggs a day. I mean, you're talking about a couple of eggs here and there. Do you know what I mean? Look, if your liver is making cholesterol, okay, you're not absorbing cholesterol from an egg and then it goes to your heart and the heart doesn't work like that. Yes.
In relation to, I suppose, the diabetes and the increase of that, have you any tips for people in what we should be doing in terms of prevalence of more and more people are going to develop
90%
diabetes?
of diabetes, type 2. Okay, there are 2 types of diabetes. The first one is type 1, which is the body kills off beta cells in the pancreas, which produce insulin. And there's nothing you can do about that. Okay? Type 2 diabetes is where you're producing excess insulin in response to the fact that the cells are not taking up the insulin because the receptors on the cells are blocked by things like trans fats and things like that. Stress is a huge component in it also. It's diet, it's our behaviours, but the problem with all of this is as we age, we're storing up down the line. You know, the lifestyle behaviours that we engage in now will predict our outcomes when we're in 60, 70, that kind of age. And why it's epidemic is people are living longer, and as you age, you're more likely to develop something like type 2 diabetes. It's like the fertility issue. The kids are drinking bottles of vodka at 14 and 15 and binge drinking, and they come up to see me at 37 and can't get pregnant.
The whole
Yeah.
meditation and mindfulness.
Oh, it's fabulous.
So you're a big fan?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I do that in my workplace programs. Absolutely. We are so disconnected We're so disconnected from food. Irish people, I certainly know, I always say to my eldest son, he hoovers and shovels. No registration. We live in a mindless world. Mindless. I absolutely love meditation and mindfulness. It's imperative. That's what I talked to you about. You know, when you listen to what we're talking about here today, it's not, you know, the illness model is no longer serving us. You won't have James Riley come in and say, let's all get mindful. Let's eat butter and eggs. You know, it's not going to happen. Sorry, that gentleman there.
It seems like a lot of the issue is habitual, and we're kind of in the habit of eating poor quality food. And so what do you think is the best way to actually, you know, reverse that habit and to form very good, healthy eating habits?
Yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely right. It's about awareness, and it's about empowering people and supporting. You know, this prescriptive thing is never going to work. If I said to you today, you can't have the probably going to think about that. Science will tell us, if I said you can't have chocolate, you're going to think about chocolate 230 times today. Phenomenal, isn't it? You know, it's not about what we can't have, but the education and the government. There's no jobs for a public health nutritionist in Ireland. There simply is no positions. Why would we need nutrition in Ireland? Well, you know, I mean, this is the job of the government to look at this and look at a preventative strategy. The Ottawa Charter, health for all by 2000. Our health outcomes in this country are atrocious, and they're getting worse. So it is about education, awareness, empowerment. Yes, you're absolutely right. And it starts with preconceptual healthcare before the woman becomes pregnant. And incidentally, on that vitamin D issue, there was a very good study done in Hollis Street in 2011, and not one of the pregnant women who were expecting babies had enough vitamin D to sustain themselves, never mind their babies. What would they say about the bone health of the mother and the baby years from? This has been flagged. Anybody else?
The use of microwaves.
Look, the use of microwaves. I have a microwave that sort of heat things up. You know, I don't really know the answer to that. You know, I can't do the traditional cooking, and if you have to use it, I suppose you have to use it. Somebody down there? Yes.
I mean, you had a slide up in the presentation, and I think it was a confused person in the middle. And I'm a bit confused, frankly, because a lot of what you're saying today, you know, differs from what I was certainly brought up with. And to hear things like, you know, low fat is almost passé now because the science has moved on. I mean, in 20 years' time, are we going to be saying something different, do you think? I mean,
in 20 years' time, you're going to come to your doctor with a little microchip with all your DNA, all your genes. You're going to have personalised medicine. You're going to have personalised nutrition. You're going to eat foods that express your genes properly. So we have the metabolomics, which is looking at, you know, if you take a urine sample and put it into this machine, I can tell you whether this amino acid is working, you're processing that, you're not processing this, you need this fat, that's where it's going. Personalised nutrition based on epigenetics and nutrigenomics. In the meantime, eat your butter. Is that okay? Is that okay? Sorry. Is everybody happy? Yeah. No, this lady here said for women who've had babies and they have a fear that they may have been vitamin D deficient, how can they do something about it? The answer simply is to start on the now. Thank you very much.